What's going on, guys? Lucky Brent here. Just going to do a review of AFL Round 22. So, Round 22 started on the Friday night in what has to be one of the more underwhelming Friday night games of the season, and gives some wealth to the thought that maybe the last sort of 3 or 4 rounds should have the rolling fixture like round 23 does, just so we get the best games on prime time and stuff like that. Because Melbourne and Sydney probably sounded great at the start of the year, but with Melbourne, the form they've showed in the last 6, 8, 10 a whole season, and Sydney obviously not being the greatest, it didn't mean for, or it didn't allow for an enjoyable game to watch for anyone. I wouldn't have thought even Melbourne and Sydney supporters wouldn't have. Well, Sydney might have enjoyed it, but yeah, it was pretty poor to watch. Sydney kicked the first 3 goals, and as a contest, it was kind of over from then. You didn't really have to watch too much of it. Um, Sydney are an interesting case. They obviously lost Franklin halfway through the year to injury, but some of the young kids look pretty good. That Blakely fella looks like he's going to be a player, and with when you've got young kids with talent like that, and you've got Lloyd and Parker and Kennedy and all those older heads that are still able to play the game. It's the future doesn't look too bad for Sydney. Obviously, they'll have financial backing as well to bring more quality to the club, and yeah, so the future doesn't look too bad for Sydney. It was a good result for them, really, to knock off Melbourne by the 50 odd points or whatever it was. And Melbourne, though, what can you say about them? They've only got really one player, don't they? And Max Gawn can't carry them forever. So yeah, they need a really big pre-season and to sort out their shit a little bit. Next game was Carlton and the Saints, and a really enjoyable game of footy. I watched quite a bit of it, and the Saints looked good early. They, well, not real early. Carlton jumped them at the start, but then St Kilda kicked, I think it was about 5 or 6 goals in a row to develop a bit of a lead, and for Carlton to peg that back and get in front, and they've been a bit of a last half specialist. Without their poor starts in a few games, their win loss tally would probably be respectable. So yeah, Seb Ross was fantastic early for St Kilda. I think he ended up with about 29 touches. Murphy and Cripps were good. Cripps struggled with a tag for majority of the game, but really showed his class in the last quarter. And Levi Casbolt was really strong for him as a defensive rebounder. He took a lot of defensive marks. I think he had 10 marks, and really gave him some influence going forward. And it was all finished off by Harry McKay with a really delightful snap from 50, bounced that through, and Carlton got home by 10 points, so that was a really good result. Probably game of the year until Sunday, Brisbane and Geelong. Geelong had them at arm's distance for majority of the game. They started really well, looked lively, and kept Brisbane, 2 or 3 goals away from them for a good majority of the game. Now, I think it was 3/4 time. They were still 18 points in front, and Brisbane, to their credit, really stuck at their gun, to their guns, and got the job done. So Lyons, Neal, and McCluggage, that midfield, and then you chuck in Zorko, that looks solid for years and years to come. Charlie Cameron kicking 5. We we knew the kid had talent when he was over here. As much as I wouldn't have given him credit for it in an Adelaide shirt, but yeah, he's really, the last 2 years has really piled it on, and looks real quality. Could be a bit of a September specialist as well. If he gets up and about, Brisbane might be able to do something. So, and all finished off by Lincoln McCarthy's screamer in the forward 50 to convert from about 30, and that got them, I think it was 2 points in front. Geelong had a shot late but missed, and incredible game of football to watch. Dangerfield was exceptional during that game. 37 touches and a goal, and Then my favourite game of the round came after that. The Crows at home to Collingwood, and Collingwood really jumped them early. Got a 2 or 3 goal lead, and then Adelaide looked to sort of peg them back, and true to Adelaide's form, they really fell off towards the end of the game, and Collingwood's midfield from Treloar to Pendlebury, Adams, just looked too quick, and Jamie Elliott probably his first really good game of the year after having trouble with injury and stuff like that in previous years. He looked really solid and kicking 5, and that half time I think Collingwood were only up by about 17 points, and for them to smack on, I think it was 12 goals to 3 and 6 unanswered goals in the third quarter. It was beautiful to watch, and it was really up and about until our game. So what can be said about our boys? They were absolutely horrible. Team selection really let them down. So this is the Kangas and the Power. I think a little bit like you look at it now, and Goldie killed us, and Ben Brown kicked 10, and we had Dougal Howard playing SANFL football, and Scotty Lysett playing SANFL football, and it's hard to say. I don't want to be too critical of Laddams, the young fella, because he's been fantastic, but a little bit more awareness of what we were coming into would have been really nice. To give Laddams game time against an Essendon side that had Zach Clark, and a Sydney side that don't have a recognised ruckman, that was really good coaching, and Laddams looked really good. But against a real quality match hardened Goldstein, he's had a fantastic year. Probably third, fourth best ruckman this year, behind Grundy Gawn, and Jared Witts. We really needed a big body, and Lysett would have been perfect for it, and it kind of rub salt into the wounds a little bit that Lysett did so well for the Maggies on Sunday, and dragged them over the line against Sturt, which is fantastic for the Magpies, but we really could have done with that on Sunday night. Ben Brown, or Sideshow Bob as I call him, he was just unstoppable. Especially the way the ball was coming in, a lack of midfield pressure, and Jonas and Cleary just looked like they didn't have anyone to help them at all. Ben Brown kicked 10, Cunnington, Zeeble, and Higgins really had a field day with our midfield, and Simpkin was fantastic too, and there was a young fella that kicked 5 as well, Larky. He looked really good as well. Bit of a shout out to our old boys, Jasper and Pollock. They both looked fantastic. Could have really done with Pollock trying to carry in that game. We really miss Dersma when he doesn't play. The last 2 games he hasn't played in, we've just got torn apart. Like, the Brisbane game was the last game he missed, and we just looked uncompetitive and didn't have any flow and flow to the game. So Dersma really adds an X factor to our team, and without him we look really slow. Anyway, that's enough I'm going to talk about Paul. I would have done match review if I was going to talk about them too much. So Freo played the Bombers, and a really disappointing result for Freo. Had it, they've had it all to play for the last fortnight. They looked fantastic at home the week before they played St Kilda last week, and for them to come out, get beaten by the Saints away, and then have the Bombers go over there and tear them a new one when the Bombers had lost by 160 points in 2 weeks, and that they must be absolutely devastated with themselves. And if we think we've got an easy game on Sunday, they're going to be breathing fire, Freo. They have to be, because that's really disappointing for them. And the Bombers were just too good. Stringer got off the chain a little bit, and Zach Merritt was just fantastic all day. And what can you say about that game except for how disappointing Freo were? Really, I mean, all credit to the Bombers, but really didn't see that coming at all. What I think is now the game of the year became on Sunday. The Eagles jumping Richmond early, 7 goals in the first quarter, 7 goals to 2 or 3, and they looked unstoppable. Like, Darling was up and about, and then the rain came at half time, and then Richmond just really piled on the pressure, and it didn't look like the Eagles could cope at times. And I think the Tigers got out to about 3 goals up in that last quarter with about 10 minutes to go. And full credit to the Eagles for fighting back to get into it, and obviously draw level. And what an amazing game of footy that was. And Jack Freerolt to kick that goal at the end there was just unreal. Yo, Hearn, Darling, they were fantastic for the Eagles, and Dusty with his 35 and a goal, and Grimes was fantastic. I rate that dude so highly. He tore us to shreds when we played them here earlier in the year, and just those rebound defensive marks, and he's got Hooley next to him, and just feeds him, and he runs and carries, and then they just play skelter ball from there, like go helter-skelter and lock it in their forward half. They're really, really tough to beat. They play a great brand of finals footy. So the Tigers-Lions game this week is going to be really interesting. Lions obviously hoping to sew up a top spot. It'd be interesting to see how Brisbane adapt to the MCG this week. And really, really good game of footy to have in round 23, that one. We'll see where the Lions are at, whether they're a genuine contender, and to get to home final spots. And if they win that, it'll probably be they'll get the Tigers again in Brisbane, and the confidence they might get from beating Richmond might just set them on for the rest of the year. What a fantastic year Brisbane's having. They're incredible. I think everyone's second favourite team to win the flag, other than their own. And the next game we got is the Giants and the Dogs, and this was a cracking game of footy to half time. Real shootout. I think there was something like, was it 15 goals kicked in the first quarter or something like that? It was ridiculous. 14, 13, 15 goals kicked in the first quarter. And then the Doggies, after half-time, just strangled them right up. And I've been on the Dogs since they beat Port here in the wet that game. I really rate their midfield. Their midfield is real class. Like, Dunkley is probably up there and one of the more underrated footballers going around at the moment. McRae was fantastic, racked up 30-odd again, and Bontempelli was just Bontempelli, really. He struggled with the De Boer tag for half the game, but really, really battled away with it and ended up, if not breaking even, winning that duel. And to come away with such a big win, what is that, 61 points? That's huge for the Dogs, and a well-deserved top 8 berth for them, I would have thought. Unless they get way ahead of themselves and somehow let Adelaide beat them, I really don't think that's going to happen. They are probably who I'd want to see in 8th. Because my boys, as good as they've been all year, they can provide some pretty shit material, and to even have the option of going to play Collingwood at the MCG in round 1 of the finals, and knowing what we're like, I think we're better off in 9th if we beat Freo. And then the last game of the round is Hawthorn and the Suns. So the Hawks sending off Ruffy really well yesterday. Warple and Wingard were just amazing, and they just teed up Ruffy whenever he wanted, really. So for him to kick 6 goals, it kind of shows where the Gold Coast are at, doesn't it? Be hard to get him out of the side though. They got West Coast away this week. I don't know whether they want Ruffy to fly for that. So still an outside chance of finishing in the 8. So obviously they need the Crows to beat the Doggies just, and then, get a bit of percentage out of West Coast, which would be really difficult. So real fitting end for Ruffy. He's had a fantastic career. He is probably one of the cures for one of my worst nightmares in that 14 grand final, prelim final, where he almost single-handedly kept Hawthorn in the game in the first half when we were flying, and and obviously we just didn't get there. But there's no qualms with the quality of that bloke, to get back from the whole cancer scare and really keep that same positive attitude going through his whole career is a real credit to the bloke. And congratulations, Ruffy. Have a good retirement, brother. You enjoy it. That's it for the round review, guys. If you're not already, follow me on Twitter at LuckyBrent18. That'll give you a bit of an insight into when we upload and all that type of stuff. Apologies about last week. I was a bit crook, so I didn't get my AFL fantasy review up or the match review from the Power last week. So obviously I'm doing a round review this week because I really don't want to talk about our boys too much. So drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and take it easy, guys. Enjoy.